Hello, and welcome. Let's talk about something that happens in the quiet of the night, something that doctors don't always have a lot of time to discuss. I'm talking about that unwelcome alarm clock that goes off at 2 a.m. and then again at 4 a.m., your own bladder. Are you tired of your sleep being broken into a dozen little pieces? If you're nodding your head, you are far from alone. A major study of American seniors found that nearly half of all folks between the ages of 65 and 85 suffer from nocturia, which is the medical term for waking up 2 or more times a night to use the restroom. And for those of us managing diabetes, that number is often even higher. For years, we've been told, well, that's just part of getting older, or it's just the diabetes. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if the key to more peaceful nights isn't just about drinking less water before bed, but about what your body might be missing on the inside? In the next 25 minutes, we are going to pull back the curtain on this frustrating problem. We'll count down the top 10 hidden culprits that contribute to nighttime urination in diabetics, and we'll reveal 4 essential, science-backed vitamins and minerals that can be your powerful allies in this fight. This is about reclaiming your sleep, your energy, and your control. Nocturia isn't just a nuisance, it's a thief. It steals your restorative, deep sleep, which can have a real impact on your mood, your memory, and even your blood sugar control the very next day. It's also a significant safety issue. Studies show that getting up multiple times in the dark dramatically increases the risk of falls and hip fractures, which can be life-altering events for seniors. 4. To do this, we're not just relying on old wives' tales. We'll be looking at research and guidelines from some of America's most trusted health institutions, including the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the National Institute on Aging, as well as findings published in major medical journals. Here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start by counting down 10 surprising reasons, or culprits, behind nocturia in diabetics. We'll begin with some familiar lifestyle factors and then dig deeper into the biology of how our bodies work. For each one, we'll explain the why and give you a simple, powerful action step you can take. The final 4 culprits are where we'll reveal our 4 nutritional heroes, the vitamins and minerals that can make a real difference. And I promise you, some of these will surprise you. You'll definitely want to stick around for culprit number 3, which involves a very common medication that millions of us take every single day. And culprit number 1, well, that might just be the master key to unlocking better bladder control and more peaceful nights. And of course, a quick but very important reminder, I am not a doctor, and this video is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The goal here is to empower you with information so you can have a more informed conversation with your personal healthcare provider. Always consult with them before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or supplement routine. All right, let's get started. All right, let's kick off our countdown with culprit number 10, that relaxing cup of evening tea or that nightcap glass of wine. The reason this is a problem is simple science. Both caffeine and alcohol are well-known diuretics. Think of a diuretic as a signal that tells your kidneys to open the floodgates and work overtime, flushing more water out of your body and into your bladder. But caffeine has a second, sneakier effect. It's also a known bladder irritant. This means it can actually make your bladder muscle twitchy and sensitive, triggering that urgent, gotta go feeling even when your bladder isn't particularly full. So you get a double whammy, more urine production and a bladder that's more eager to get rid of it. I think of my friend Carol. She was so good about her health, switching to decaf coffee in the morning to manage her blood pressure. But she just couldn't give up her nightly cup of black tea while she was reading her book. She was baffled as to why she was up every 2 hours like clockwork. What she didn't realize is that many teas, especially black and green tea, still contain a significant amount of caffeine. 12. It's these hidden sources we often overlook that can sabotage our sleep. So your action step here is to set a beverage curfew. It's a simple but powerful rule. Try to make plain water your only beverage for at least 3 to 4 hours before you plan to go to sleep. If you absolutely love a warm drink to wind down, that's perfectly fine. Just make a smart swap to a caffeine-free herbal option. Things like chamomile, peppermint, or ginger tea can be wonderfully soothing without sending your kidneys into overdrive. Now, this is generally a lifestyle fix. However, it's important to mention that if you find you're relying on alcohol to help you fall asleep at night, that could be a sign of an underlying sleep issue or high stress levels. That's a conversation worth having with your doctor, as there are much healthier ways to ensure a good night's rest. Coming in at number 9 is a sneaky one: excess sodium or salt, especially in your evening meal. Here's how it works. When you eat a salty meal, your body is smart. It holds onto water to dilute that high concentration of sodium in your bloodstream. You might even feel a little bloated. But the story doesn't end there. Hours later, as you're lying in bed, your body starts the important work of processing and filtering that salt through your kidneys. And here's the key principle: wherever salt goes, water is sure to follow. This process creates what you can think of as a delayed-action diuretic effect. It increases your urine production long after you've finished your meal, right in the middle of the night. It's like taking a slow-release water pill you didn't even know was in your food. My Uncle Frank was a perfect example of this. He loved his nightly routine: a big bowl of canned chicken noodle soup and a handful of pretzels while he watched the evening news. It seemed like a light, harmless meal. But what he didn't know was that canned soups and processed snacks are absolutely loaded with sodium. His body was spending the entire night, from midnight to 5 a.m., working hard to flush out all that salt. He was convinced he had a bladder problem, but what he really had was a salt problem. 13. Your action step is to become a salt detective, especially for your evening meal and snacks. This means getting friendly with nutrition labels. You'll be shocked at the sodium content in processed foods, canned goods, frozen dinners, and sauces. Your goal is to cook with fresh, whole ingredients whenever possible. Instead of reaching for the salt shaker, experiment with the wonderful world of herbs and spices. Garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, oregano, and black pepper can all add fantastic flavor without the nighttime consequences. A low-sodium dinner can make a world of difference to your night. Point 9. Of course, there are red flags to watch for. If you already have high blood pressure, or if you notice visible swelling in your ankles and feet, a condition called edema, that's a major sign to talk to your doctor about your sodium intake and your overall cardiovascular health. These conditions are all tightly linked, and managing one can often help the others. 9. At number 8, we have a very common factor for many seniors: the timing and the type of your prescription medications. Many of the medications that are essential for our health can have a diuretic effect, meaning they increase urine production. The most obvious examples are the water pills, like furosemide, Lasix, or hydrochlorothiazide, which are often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart failure. 9. But they're not the only ones. Other drugs, including some different types of blood pressure medicines like calcium channel blockers, certain antidepressants like SSRIs, and even some of the newer diabetes medications themselves, specifically a class called SGLT2 inhibitors, can either increase urine output or affect how the bladder functions. 2. I'll never forget a message I received from a viewer, a lovely woman named Shirley. Her doctor had recently switched her blood pressure medication. To help her remember to take it, she started taking it at night with her other pills. Almost immediately, her sleep was completely wrecked by constant trips to the bathroom. She was exhausted and frustrated. It turned out that her new medication had a mild diuretic effect. The problem wasn't the pill itself. It was essential for her heart, but the timing of when she took it. So your action step here is to conduct a medication review. Now, and this is critically important, do not stop or change any medication on your own. That can be very dangerous. Instead, make a list of every single thing you take, prescriptions, over-the-counter pills, and supplements, and write down the time of day you take each one. Bring this list to your next doctor or pharmacist appointment and ask a simple, direct question. Could any of these medications, or the timing of them, be contributing to my nighttime urination? Sometimes, a simple fix, like taking a pill in the morning instead of at night, can be a total game changer. 6. The red flag here is a change in pattern. If your nocturia began or got significantly worse right after you started a new medication, that's a huge clue to discuss with your provider. Also, if you're taking a diuretic but you're still noticing increased or worsening swelling in your legs, your doctor needs to know about that right away, as it could mean your treatment needs to be adjusted. 4. Culprit number 7 is a simple matter of physics that I like to call the gravity effect. It's all about the fluid that can build up in your lower legs and ankles during the day, a condition known as peripheral edema. Here's the science in plain English. When you're up and about, sitting in a chair, standing, or walking, gravity naturally pulls fluid down into the tissues of your lower legs. It's like a reservoir of extra water slowly building up throughout the day. Then, when you lie down flat in bed at night, the game changes. Gravity is no longer pulling that fluid down. That trapped fluid is now free to flow back into your bloodstream. Your heart then pumps this extra volume of fluid to your kidneys, which sense the overload and say, "Whoa, there's too much liquid in the system." They immediately get to work producing more urine to get rid of it. This is a major reason why you might have a dry night if you doze off in a recliner, but a very busy night once you're lying flat in bed. I remember my own father complaining about this for years. He'd have what's called pitting edema, where you could press a finger firmly into his shin, and it would leave a visible indent for a few seconds. He just thought it was swollen legs from getting older. He never connected the dots that the swelling he saw in his ankles at 6 p.m. was the very same fluid that was waking him up at 2 a.m. 9. You have 2 powerful and practical action steps here. First, try elevating your legs for an hour or so in the evening before you go to bed. Put your feet up on a stool, an ottoman, or a stack of pillows. Ideally, you want them to be slightly above the level of your heart. This gives that trapped fluid a chance to re-enter your circulation and be processed by your kidneys before you go to sleep. Second, consider talking to your doctor about wearing compression stockings during the day. These specialized socks apply gentle, steady pressure to your legs, which helps prevent that fluid from pooling in the first place. 10. Now the red flag here is very important. Leg edema is not something to ignore. It can be a sign of underlying heart, kidney, or liver issues. If you have persistent swelling, especially if it's accompanied by other symptoms like shortness of breath or chest pain, you need to see your doctor promptly. This is a crucial signal from your body that needs to be investigated. 4. At number 6, we have a culprit that many people with nocturia don't even know they have: an underlying sleep disorder. The 2 most common culprits are obstructive sleep apnea, OSA, and restless leg syndrome, RLS. The science behind this is fascinating. With obstructive sleep apnea, you briefly stop breathing, sometimes hundreds of times a night. Each time this happens, it creates a negative pressure inside your chest, which physically stretches the atria or the upper chambers of your heart. In response to this stretching, your heart releases a hormone called atrial natriuretic peptide, or ANP. The primary job of ANP is to tell your kidneys to get rid of salt and water in order to lower blood pressure and reduce strain on the heart. So, every time you have an apnea event, Your body gets a direct hormonal signal to make more urine. 3. With restless leg syndrome, that uncontrollable, creepy-crawly urge to move your legs constantly breaks your sleep into tiny fragments. Every time you're jolted awake, you become more aware of your body's signals, including the sensation from your bladder, even if it's not very full. 16. A man named George shared his story with me, and it was a perfect illustration of this. He was getting up 5 or 6 times every single night. He was exhausted. His wife said he snored like a freight train, and that she would often hear him gasp for air in his sleep. He finally went for a sleep study and was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea. After just 1 week of using a CPAP machine to help him breathe at night, his trips to the bathroom dropped from 6 down to just 1. His nocturia wasn't a bladder problem at all. It was a breathing problem. 3. The action step here is to become an investigator of your own sleep. Ask your spouse or partner about your sleep habits. Do you snore loudly and consistently? Have they ever noticed you stop breathing or gasp for air? And ask yourself, do you have an irresistible urge to move your legs at night, a feeling that's only relieved by getting up and walking around? If the answer is yes to any of these, it is absolutely essential that you talk to your doctor about getting a referral for a sleep study. It is one of the most important things you can do for your overall health. 3. The red flags are classic and clear. Loud, chronic snoring, observed pauses in breathing during sleep, and feeling excessively sleepy during the day despite spending enough hours in bed. These are not things to be brushed off. Treating a condition like sleep apnea can dramatically improve not just your nocturia, but also your blood pressure, your heart health, and even your diabetes control. Okay, let's take a quick breath. We are halfway through our countdown, and we've already covered a lot of important ground. So far, we've uncovered 5 major culprits: the evening ritual of caffeine and alcohol, culprit number 10; the hidden salt in our food, number 9; the timing of our medications, number 8; the gravity effect of fluid in our legs, number 7; and the unseen saboteur of sleep disorders like sleep apnea, number 6. The common thread here is that nocturia is rarely caused by just one single thing. It's a complex web of interconnected factors. Your heart, your kidneys, your sleep, and your daily habits are all constantly talking to each other. And the first step to getting control is learning to understand that conversation. By the way, if you're having some aha moments and finding this information helpful, do me a quick favor and tap that like button below. It's a small click for you, but it tells YouTube that this is valuable content and helps other seniors who are struggling with the very same issues find this video. Thank you so much for that. All right, are you ready for the top 5? This is where we get into the real game changers and start introducing our nutritional heroes. Let's dive into culprit number 5. Coming in at number 5 is the bladder itself. Sometimes the problem isn't about making too much urine, but about how the bladder behaves. The culprit is an overactive bladder, or OAB. This is a condition where your bladder muscle, called the detrusor muscle, gets a bit twitchy and starts to contract on its own, even when it's not full. I spoke with a woman named Diane who described it perfectly. She said, "It's not a gentle nudge telling me I should probably go to the bathroom soon. It's a sudden, 5-alarm fire drill in my bladder that I can't ignore." She was already practicing all the fluid restriction tips, but that sudden, overwhelming urgency was still waking her up from a deep sleep. That's the classic sign of an overactive bladder. 11. The Mayo Clinic recommends a very effective behavioral technique called bladder training. 6. The first step is to keep a simple diary for a few days to see how often you're actually going to the restroom. Once you know your pattern, say every 60 minutes, you start to consciously delay urination by just 5 or 10 minutes when you feel that urge. You can distract yourself, take deep breaths, or sit down for a moment. Over several weeks, you gradually increase that time. This process helps retrain your bladder to hold more urine and, just as importantly, retrains your brain to be less reactive to those urgent signals. This technique, combined with pelvic floor exercises, also known as Kegels, is crucial for strengthening the muscles that give you conscious control. 6. The red flags to watch for here are any new or unusual symptoms. If your urge to urinate is accompanied by pain, a burning sensation, or you see blood in your urine, that's a sign you need to call your doctor right away. These can be symptoms of a urinary tract infection or another issue that needs immediate medical attention. Also, if these behavioral therapies aren't providing enough relief, your doctor can discuss medications that are specifically designed to help calm the bladder muscle. 7. Culprit number 4 is a fascinating and often overlooked imbalance in our body's chemistry: low potassium levels. And our first nutritional hero is, you guessed it, the essential mineral potassium. This connection is absolutely crucial for anyone managing diabetes to understand. Your pancreas, the organ that produces insulin, requires potassium to do its job effectively. Specifically, your pancreatic cells need adequate potassium to be able to secrete and release insulin in response to the glucose in your blood. When your body's potassium levels are low, your insulin release is blunted or weakened. What does that mean in practical terms? It means your blood sugar stays higher for longer after a meal because there isn't enough insulin to usher that sugar into your cells. When your blood sugar runs high, your body has a backup plan to get rid of the excess sugar. It dumps it into your urine. This process is called osmotic diuresis. The high concentration of sugar in your urine pulls large amounts of water along with it, dramatically increasing your total urine output. 14. This happens day and night, but it becomes most noticeable when it's waking you up. So, the chain reaction is clear. Low potassium leads to less insulin released, which leads to higher blood sugar, which leads to more urine production, which leads to nocturia. Think of your pancreas as a factory assembly line that makes a vital product, insulin. Potassium is like the oil that keeps all the machinery on that line running smoothly and efficiently. If you're low on oil, the whole line slows down and production drops. Your body simply can't get the insulin it needs when it needs it, and sugar starts backing up in the system, waiting to be flushed out. Your action step here is to focus on a food-first approach to potassium. It is very important that you do not start taking a potassium supplement without your doctor's explicit instruction and supervision. Too much potassium can be dangerous, especially if you have any level of kidney disease or are taking certain blood pressure medications. Instead, focus on incorporating potassium-rich foods into your daily diet. Wonderful sources include bananas, avocados, spinach, sweet potatoes, beans, lentils, and fatty fish like salmon. 22. The red flags are serious. As mentioned, if you have any form of chronic kidney disease or if you take blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors or ARBs, you absolutely must talk to your doctor before deliberately increasing your potassium intake. They need to monitor your blood levels carefully to ensure you stay in a safe range. 20. Culprit number 3 is a silent process that affects millions of people with diabetes. It's called diabetic autonomic neuropathy. This is a specific type of nerve damage that affects the automatic or involuntary functions of your body. Things like your digestion, your heart rate, and critically, your bladder function. And the hero that helps protect our body's delicate nerve wiring is vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is absolutely essential for building and maintaining the protective myelin sheath. You can think of it as the insulation around your nerve cells. In diabetes, chronically high blood sugar can damage these nerves over time. But there's a complication. A very common, safe, and effective diabetes medication, Metformin, is known to interfere with the body's ability to absorb vitamin B12 from the food we eat. This can create a double whammy for people with diabetes. The disease itself can cause nerve damage, and one of the primary treatments for the disease can lead to a deficiency of the very vitamin needed to protect those nerves. When the autonomic nerves that control your bladder become damaged, they can't send and receive signals properly. This can lead to a bladder that doesn't fully empty, causing you to retain urine. It can also lead to overflow incontinence and that nagging feeling that you have to go again shortly after you've just been. 9. A gentleman named Robert, who had been on metformin for over a decade, is a perfect case study. He started experiencing the classic signs of neuropathy, like tingling in his feet, but he also noticed a new problem, a feeling that his bladder never fully emptied. He felt like he had to go to the bathroom again just 30 minutes after he'd already been. His doctor, being very thorough, tested his B12 levels and found they were critically low. It wasn't a new problem. It was an old problem, neuropathy, presenting with a new symptom related to his bladder. 24. If you have been taking metformin for several years, your action step is simple and proactive. Ask your doctor for a simple blood test to check your vitamin B12 levels. It's a routine and inexpensive test. Numerous studies have shown that for people who are deficient, supplementing with vitamin B12 can help improve the symptoms of diabetic neuropathy. 26. A common dose used in these studies is 1,000 micrograms mcg per day, but your doctor will be the one to recommend the right dose for you. 28. The classic red flags for nerve damage are symptoms like numbness, tingling, or a burning sensation in your hands or feet. But you should also be aware of the signs of autonomic neuropathy. These can include digestive issues like feeling full too quickly, a condition called gastroparesis, or bladder issues like incontinence, the weak urine stream, or the feeling of incomplete emptying. These are all important signs that warrant a conversation with your doctor. 25. We are at number 2, and this one is all about structural integrity. The culprit is a weakened pelvic floor, and the hero that helps strengthen this muscular foundation is the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D. We all know that vitamin D is crucial for helping our bodies absorb calcium to build strong bones. But what's really exciting is that recent research has discovered that our bodies have vitamin D receptors in our muscles, including the detrusor muscle of the bladder wall and the complex network of muscles that make up the pelvic floor. 29. You can think of the pelvic floor as a strong, flexible, muscular hammock that stretches from your pubic bone to your tailbone. This hammock provides essential support for your bladder and other pelvic organs. When these muscles are weak, the bladder can sag slightly, and you can lose some of the fine motor control needed to prevent leaks and suppress feelings of urgency. Studies have now clearly linked low vitamin D levels to weaker pelvic floor muscles and a higher risk of urinary incontinence and overactive bladder, especially in older adults. Imagine trying to build a strong, sturdy house on a flimsy, weak foundation. It simply doesn't work very well. Your pelvic floor is the foundation for your bladder. Many of us, especially as we get older and tend to spend more time indoors, are low or deficient in vitamin D. We might be diligently doing our Kegel exercises, but our muscles are missing one of the key nutrients they need to respond and get stronger. Your action step here is twofold. First, the next time you see your doctor, talk to them about getting your vitamin D level checked. It's a simple blood test that can give you incredibly valuable information. Many older Americans are deficient and don't even know it. Second, if your test shows that you are deficient, your doctor will recommend a supplementation plan to get your levels back up to a healthy range. One particularly successful study in postmenopausal women found that a weekly dose of 50,000 international units IU for 8 weeks was effective at reducing nocturia, but your doctor will tailor the dose specifically to your needs. 32. While low vitamin D often has no obvious symptoms, things like general muscle weakness, bone pain, and persistent fatigue can sometimes be signs. More importantly, if you're experiencing any kind of urinary leakage, whether it's a little bit when you cough or sneeze, or a sudden urgent leak, it's a clear sign that your pelvic floor needs attention. And checking your vitamin D level should be a key part of that conversation with your healthcare provider. 32. And here we are at culprit number 1. This may be the single biggest, most influential, and often most overlooked factor in this entire puzzle. The culprit is poor bladder muscle regulation, and the hero is the master mineral, magnesium. Magnesium is involved in over 300 essential biochemical reactions in your body, but its most famous role is in muscle and nerve function. Here is the single most important concept to understand. Calcium makes muscles contract, and magnesium makes them relax. You need both of these in a perfect, delicate balance for proper function. When you are low in magnesium, which is incredibly common, especially in people with type 2 diabetes, who tend to lose more magnesium through their urine due to high blood sugar, your body's muscles can't fully relax. 34. This includes the smooth muscle of your bladder wall. It remains in a state of partial contraction, making it irritable, tense, and prone to spasms. This physiological state leads directly to the feelings of urgency and frequency that define overactive bladder and nocturia. By ensuring you have adequate magnesium, you are giving your bladder the essential tool it needs to properly relax, let go, and fill to its natural capacity without sending those premature panic signals to your brain. 23. Think of it like a clenched fist. If you're low on magnesium, your bladder is like a fist that is always a little bit tight, never fully open and relaxed. It doesn't take much more pressure for that fist to feel completely full and strained. A woman who participated in one of the studies on magnesium supplementation described the feeling perfectly. She said it was like her bladder finally took a deep breath and let go for the first time in years. That's the power of restoring this mineral balance. Your action step is to focus on boosting your magnesium intake. As always, a food-first approach is the safest and best place to start. Dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, nuts and seeds, especially almonds and pumpkin seeds, avocados, beans, and even a little bit of dark chocolate are all excellent sources. However, because magnesium deficiency is so widespread among people with diabetes, supplementation is often necessary to get levels back to where they need to be. Studies have shown that supplementing with a form called magnesium hydroxide can be effective. Doses ranging from 150 milligrams to 350 milligrams taken twice a day have been used in studies, but it is crucial that you start with a low dose and discuss the right form and amount with your doctor. The biggest and most important red flag for magnesium supplementation is kidney disease. If your kidneys are not functioning at 100%, they can't clear excess magnesium from your body, which can lead to a dangerous buildup. You absolutely must have your doctor's approval and supervision before starting any magnesium supplement. The most common side effect of taking a bit too much magnesium is loose stools or diarrhea. If that happens, it's a simple sign from your body to back off the dose. 35. So as we've journeyed from culprit 10 all the way down to number 1, what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that conquering Nocturia isn't about finding one single magic pill. It's about learning to see your body as a whole, interconnected system. It's about managing your fluids and your diet, understanding the impact of your medications, supporting your body's structure with simple tricks like compression and leg elevation, and most importantly, ensuring your body has the fundamental nutritional building blocks it needs to function correctly. The most important message I want you to leave with today is this: you are not a passive victim of aging or diabetes. You are the CEO of your own health. You have the power to ask your doctor for a B12 test at your next visit. You have the power to choose a fresh, low-sodium dinner tonight. You have the power to decide to elevate your legs while you watch TV. You can have an informed conversation about your vitamin D and magnesium levels. These are small, intelligent choices that, when added together, can lead to a profound improvement in your quality of life and, most wonderfully, your quality of sleep. Now, I want to hear from you. We covered a lot of ground today. Which of these 10 culprits was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the link between metformin and vitamin B12? Or the role of magnesium in helping the bladder muscle to relax? Leave a comment down below. I love reading your stories and insights. It helps our whole community learn and grow together. And finally, if you found this deep dive helpful and you want more practical, science-backed content to help you live a more vibrant and independent life, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Here's to your health, your vitality, and to many, many more peaceful nights ahead. I'll see you in the next video.